Hey, what's up everyone? This is Skulm. Yes, that's how you pronounce my name. And as always, I am not going to read every single patch note. If you want to read the full patch notes, there is a link in the video description below. Season 3 will begin on February 16, so make sure to clear your Season 1 stash by then. Here are the start dates and times for different regions. Before we start talking about the meta and which builds to play for each class, there are some buffed runewords which deserve a brief mention. Hustle Runeword on chest armor is now an actual option. The plus 6 to evade will be very interesting alongside the faster run walk speed and increased attack speed. You can use it on your mercenary or you can use it on yourself. Keep in mind that evade is great because it applies when your character is moving, so you can actually run with it and have a base value of 40% chance to evade attacks. Do you think Hustle armor will compete against Treachery for Merc setup? Leave a comment down below. For the weapon version of Hustle Runeword, the level 1 Fanaticism aura from Hustle weapon is already making some of the Necromancers salivate, since they want to cast that Iron Golem on it ASAP. It's basically a budget beast for Summon Necromancer. For the first few days of the ladder, the Fanaticism aura at the hands of a non-Paladin melee character will be useful for party play as well. It's also a decent budget weapon for melees, of course. I think the weapon is a decent alternative despite the latest burst of speed nerf. On the other hand, Mosaic might actually be huge, especially for dual claw setups, because you will never run out of charges and you can keep spamming your finishers with max charges. This is going to create a very interesting synergy with Phoenix Strike, since the percentage damage also applies and increases Phoenix Strike elemental damage. Holding infinite Phoenix Strike charges and then spamming Dragon Talon, Dragon Tail or other dragon finishers will feel extremely rewarding for Assassin now. Keep in mind that you can also use different charge up skills, retain their charge at maximum and unleash everything through your dragon finishers without losing a charge and actually refreshing the duration of the stack. I am expecting to see some interesting martial arts focused builds in the near future. Speaking of assassins, it finally happened. Traps can now benefit from all enemy negative resistance gear. This is huge because Lightning Sentry can now benefit from Griffin's Eye and Lightning Facets in addition to the Sunder Charm synergy. Assassins can also choose to self-wield runewords such as Crescent Moon and Infinity because their negative enemy resistance property now benefits traps. We might see Infinity self-wielding Lightning Sentry trapsons in Season 3. We also shouldn't forget Fire Traps. Fire Traps have great AoE potential and Fire Blast delivers the much needed focus target damage. I expect both Trapsin variations to be stellar builds for Season 3. This change alone will put Trapsins on S tier for Season 3 meta. We are currently experimenting for highest damage setups with my Discord community. If you'd like to follow our daily progress on creating builds and participate in helpful D2R related discussions, feel free to subscribe to my channel and join my Discord. Another class balancing change is the Cold Sorceress nerf. When an enemy's cold immunity is broken by Cold Sunder Charm, the Cold Mastery will now work with 20% efficiency. The Blizzard Sorceress will still be able to retain her power if properly equipped with the right gear. Therefore, Cold Sorceresses should prioritize Cold Facets, minus enemy Cold Resistance gear, and perhaps also invest additional points into Cold Mastery. Be advised that Cold Mastery will still apply with 100% efficiency against non-cold immune monsters. The 20% efficiency nerf kicks in only when Cold Sunder Charm applies to a monster and breaks its cold immunity. This nerf will somewhat slow down Cold Sork to directly gain massive power at the very first day of ladder start. It may also slow down Blizzard Sorceress gear progression. At Season 2, Cold Sork just needed a Cold Sunder Charm and she was good to go. In Season 3, hunting down Cold Facets and Cold Piercing gear will be crucial to retain her massive power. Enemy negative cold resistance gear and facets always apply with 100% efficiency, therefore they will be prioritized for Season 3 Cold Sorceress builds. Another S tier Sorceress build will undoubtedly be the self-infinity wielding Nova Sork. When properly geared, a Nova Sork with Griffins, self-wield Infinity and Lightning Sunder Charm becomes a deadly force which can quickly farm terror zones for XP gain. The difference is simple, because when the Sorceress self-wields Infinity, the minus 55 enemy negative lightning resistance actually applies to her. With this build, Energy Shield also comes into play. While there are different ES Sorc variations, I think Nova Sorc with self-willed Infinity setup will be very powerful for farming terror zones in Ladder Season 3. We cannot skip Fire Sorceress as well. In my opinion, Fire Sorc is also a great build which can dish out high damage. The same logic applies with Fire Piercing gear, therefore Fire Sorceresses should also look for enemy negative fire resistance gear. In my opinion, all three Sorceress builds are powerful S tier builds. If you would like to play a Sorceress for Ladder Season 3, which build will you go with? Let me know in the comments. For the Necromancer, there is absolutely nothing exciting to talk about except for that Hustle weapon level 1 Fanaticism aura. The Poison Nova damage cancelling is still in the game, so your army interferes and sabotages your Poison Nova damage. As a side note, the interference problem is true for nearly all poison spells, with Venom being the exception because of the tick rate calculation. As a summon Necro, you still need to trespass Nilatak's garden or whatever to summon an army at the start of each game. Looking at the current status of Necro, we can see that the Bone Necromancer will be the most valuable pick out of the three specs. For group play, lower resist will be important, so the Bone Necromancer should look for a white base wand which has +3 to Bone Spear and has some plus lower resist skills. Otherwise, they will have to waste some extra points to unlock it. For Druids, shapeshifting looks interesting and all, but you still cannot teleport while shapeshifted. There is some room for playing around with the new Metamorphosis Runeword, but I'm expecting shapeshift Druids to fall behind since teleporting will be a nuisance for them. There are some terror zones where teleporting is crucial for speed farming. I would love to see shapeshift Druids being able to teleport without changing to human form. This would open up so many possibilities for the build. Summon Druids did not see dramatic changes or runewords, therefore I do not expect high performance from the build. Summon Druid lacks AoE damage and it is a defense oriented build. This is a nice variety for the game, especially for people who want to play a bit more defensive and take their time. For those wanting to rush Ladder Season 3 terror zones, I would recommend the next Druid build. We should not forget that Fire Druid is an S tier build. You can directly start the game as a Fire Druid and just progress your build without even respecking. You just need a 6 open socket sword and gem it with fire facets. That alone will give you -30% enemy negative fire resistance. With proper enemy negative fire resistance gear, Fire Druid easily destroys any monster, including players' 8 scaled fire immunes. Therefore, for those wanting to play a Druid, Fire Druid will be my obvious pick for Season 3. Unsurprisingly, Hammerdins and Javazons will be blasting as always. They will definitely be meta. The reason is simple. A Hammerdin can get going with an Enigma, Spirit and Hoto. An alternative to Hammerdin could be a hybrid Fohadin, but I strongly recommend playing a Hammerdin if you'd like to play Ladder Season 3 competitively. A Lightning Fury Javazon, on the other hand, requires a bit more niche gear, but she can still attain high power level relatively quickly. Both Titan's Revenge and Thunderstroke are great weapons for Javazon. The Whirlwind Berserk Barbarian build will be powerful, especially with the early accessible gear and new runewords. The Barbarian's goal should be to collect decent budget mid-game equipment and then transition to Grief, Beast or Death runewords as soon as possible. Using these runewords will massively increase the offensive power of the Barbarian, which will allow you to farm those players' 8-scale terror zones. From the looks of it, we are getting more melee specs joining the competition at Season 3. What do you think about my meta predictions? Do you agree or disagree? Leave a comment down below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.